Hello, I'm Jeffrey.
And I'm Andy.
For today's presentation, we'll be going over the definitions of 8 different legal terms. Enjoy.
The first legal term is indictable offenses. Indictable offenses are basically the most serious offenses under the criminal code, and they tend to come with more serious consequences. Examples of this kind of offenses are assault, murder, treason, drug trafficking, and aggravated sexual assault.
The second term is mens rea. Mens rea's literal definition means that you have a guilty mind. It describes the intention or knowledge of wrongdoing that counts as part of a crime. The rationale behind this is to differentiate people who innocently cause harm and those who intentionally cause harm.
The purpose is for the defendant to undertake his actions, either intending for or hoping that a certain result will follow.
Knowledge is when a person acts knowingly if he is aware that it is practically certain that his conduct will cause a specific result.
Recklessness. A person acts recklessly if he is aware of a substantial risk that a certain result will occur as a result of his actions. The risk must be substantial enough that the action represents a gross deviation from what a reasonable law-abiding person would do.
Negligence. Okay, so a person acts negligently if they should have been aware of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that a certain consequence would result from their actions. Although the level of risk is the same for both recklessness and negligence, the difference between the two is that with recklessness, the actor must be aware of the risk involved with her actions, whereas for negligence, the actor is not aware of the risk but should have known what those risks were.
The next one, actus reus. Actus reus literal definition would mean guilty act, which describes the physical activity or omission of a physical activity that results in harm to other people or damages to other properties. For the actus reus element of a crime to be present, there must be a voluntary physical action made by the defendant. The prosecution must prove that the defendant made a conscious and intentional movement.
Willful blindness. Willful blindness is a term used in law to describe a situation in which a person seeks to avoid civil or criminal liability for a wrongdoing act by intentionally keeping themselves unaware of the facts that will render him or her liable or implicated.
Next one, criminal negligence. According to the laws of Canada, anyone is criminally negligent if they ignore a known or obvious risk or show wanton, reckless disregard to the safety of others. An example of criminal negligence would be driving impaired despite knowing the risks involved. Another example of criminal negligence is the offense of involuntary manslaughter.
Conspiracy. In criminal law, it is considered a conspiracy if people work together by agreement to commit a crime. A conspiracy may exist when the parties use legal means to achieve an illegal result or use illegal means to accomplish something that in itself is legal. In order to prove a conspiracy, those involved must have agreed to committing the crime beforehand. Otherwise, it would just be a series of independent illegal acts. An example of conspiracy is when a group of salesmen agree together to sell used cars as brand new cars.
The next one, abetting. Stated in Section 21(1) of the Criminal Code, everyone is a party to an offense if they actually commits the crime, or abets any person committing it by commissioning, assisting, commending, or encouraging another to commit the crime. In terms of guilt, there is no major difference between being an assistant, abettor, or the principal actor in committing an offense. The main difference between abetting and accessory is after the fact is that accessory after the fact does not involve any personal commission of the crime.
The final term is accessory after the fact. An accessory after the fact is defined as someone who assists a principal felon with the intent to have the person escape arrest or punishment even though they are aware that the person has committed a crime. Assisting the principal felon by harboring and concealing them is considered to be an accessory after the fact. However, if you're simply a bystander who is not aware of the fact that the person has committed a crime, or does not have clear intent to assist the principal felon, you are not an accessory after the fact. That's it for today's presentation. Thank you for watching.
There will be a Kahoot coming.
Kahoot alert!